Adam, let's get started if you don't mind. If you don't mind, let's just summarize to the best of our ability what we covered yesterday. Maybe take a few minutes to kind of go over it, redo about, an introduction for yourself. I see a lot of new faces. I know who you are. We had a great session yesterday, but let's try one more time and get this party started.
Amazing. Okay, well, a quick intro for those of you that were just meeting for the first time. My name is Adam Erhart, and I am, again, I always grapple with the title, but we're going to call it a marketing strategist. So essentially, it's my job to figure out marketing campaigns and strategies from A to Z, or A to Z for my Canadian and UK friends, and there are all the steps in between. So my history is starting marketing with absolutely no knowledge of it whatsoever, really just falling into it after a suggestion from my wife that I should do marketing after leaving corporate. And I fell in love with it immediately. And from there, it just snowballed. So started an agency, started doing other work, started expanding on that, made all of the mistakes in the book. Took a long time to build my first agency to what I would deem a successful point. And then once I sort of figured it out, I realized that success leaves clues, and it enabled me to do it again and again and again. And so now where we're at today is just dramatically different. And it's my goal essentially to share with you everything I've learned after over a decade of doing this and working with some of the biggest names in the business, so that you can shortcut all of that and get all of the things that we were promised that an agency can deliver, whether we're doing full service or SaaS or anything. There's a lot of hype around it, and sometimes it sounds too good to be true. And so I think if I leave you with anything, it's that, yeah, it really is that good, but you have to do it right. So it's going to be work, but the payoff is infinitely better than you could even imagine. So what did we do yesterday? Client acquisition. Maybe I'll hit the slides here, Paulson, and we'll just dive in there. Right on. So yesterday was client acquisition. So if you haven't seen it, we'll obviously have the replay links, and it's available and coming soon to a streaming platform near you. But it was about everything around sort of nailing your niche, making sure that we figured out what we're doing, for who we're doing it for, the importance of that, the value in that, and sort of just how much more profitable we can be. Talked about the perfect script when it comes to different ways of getting clients, whether through calls or emails or audits, some of the secret weapons. The marketing audit, which is one of my preferred ways to do it. Also, I think one of the big points that I hope people took away was that nothing that we're talking about is ridiculously level 4 calculus, PhD, mathematics required, but it does require consistency and like putting in the reps. And so there was a lot of questions that came up about, well, I've done a couple calls or a couple audits or a couple of this, and it's not working. And so the thing that we want to push is that, yeah, we need to do more. So make sure that we're working smart, but also hard. And there's sort of this volume that we need to hit. And then the secret Trojan horse strategy of the podcast invitation, which talked through there, as well as some old school tips on bunt cakes and lumpy mail and all the fun stuff.
Yes. We definitely had some interesting ideas of how to get launched. And if you don't know, we have something called the 5-day challenge, which is a program as well that teaches you how to get your first paying customers as well. But there's multiple ways to skin this cat. I mean, you got to go with what's working for you and what your strengths are. If you're introverted, it might be harder for you to go out there and shake hands and talk to a lot of people. That could be very fatiguing versus you launching a cold calling or cold email campaign. So it just depends on who you are. And I think there's something for everyone. So Adam, let's set the agenda for today. I know we want to really talk about a seamless assembly fulfillment. Otherwise, this whole agency thing will get very burdensome.
Yeah, exhausting. There's a million wrong ways and a few right ways to do this. And as I'm sure you can attest to as well, Paulson, it's like when we first start, we do all of the wrong things because we work like crazy. We do too much stuff. We basically take on more than we can chew. So what we want to do here is we want to streamline and systemize and turn as much as we can into like a predictable, repeatable, consistent process, so that ultimately where we end up is going to be significantly better than where we're starting at right now. So what we're talking about today, work less, make more, 10 times better results and happier clients, because that really is the main thing. And we're going to talk more about kind of that one main thing that clients care about, and really sort of center this around what do we need to do to get clients and what do we need to do to get them results? Because if we do that, everything sort of takes care of itself. Like the things sort of identify and the problems get solved almost by default. So step one to this whole thing, we got to focus on the only thing that matters. lifelong loyal clients by giving them what they actually care about. I was given a piece of advice years ago when I was struggling in school. I was like, I don't know what to do or how I'm going to do this well, or like, this is a nightmare. And someone told me, why don't you just go ask the professor what they want and just find out what they want and then do that. And so sure enough, I went to the front of the class at the end of it. I talked to the professor. I was like, hey, what do I need to do? Like, I got to get a good grade in this. I don't know what to do. And he's like, yeah, here, study this, learn that. And just like that, we cut out like 80% of the other stuff that I thought was important, and I realized that my entire grade was going to come down to like this one paper. And if I started working on it now, and sure enough, I ended up getting 100% in the course. And I was not a straight A student by a stretch, but it was literally just by identifying the things that matter and then doing that. Not the things that my friends told me I needed to know or alumni told me. None of that's relevant. You have to go to the source and find out what they want. Now, when it comes to clients, this is what they care about. That is it. Full stop. Period. This could be a very short lesson, actually. If this point kind of like gets taken through and we really embrace this, your life, your business, everything will change. Clients care about results. And what they say may not be what they actually care about, because they might be like, well, I need this, or I need that, or I'd like to grow my brand awareness or my social following or whatever it is. But if you're the one that actually delivers them results, and I'll explain exactly what that means in just a minute, you increase retention dramatically, you increase positive word of mouth, you increase referrals, they preach about just how great you are. And again, we don't have to do all of the things. We just have to do the things that actually work. So this is my golf course analogy from someone that doesn't play golf, but I think it works. I used to play, I was never any good, but hopefully the theory makes sense here. So what I want to pitch here is that the closer your service is to delivering a sale, the more valuable you are in the eyes of the client. So it's like when you think about, if you were to just walk into a golf course and someone's like, yeah, here's your ball, it's right at the hole, just putt it in, and you're going to make sales like that. It's like, I'm taking that guy every time versus like, hey, you're back of a par 5 and here's a putter and that's all you got, and good luck getting there and seeing the set. Like, it's just a disaster. So what we want to do is we constantly want to be trying to find services that are closer to those high ROI activities. And even if we don't, and this is something I'm glad I'm remembering because I didn't put in the slides, even if we have something that isn't directly visible to an ROI, like we're not generating immediate sales, we need to find a way to communicate that our service is responsible for sales. So we have to tie it in somehow. So if for some unbeknownst reason we are building social followings, which we're going to talk about probably why that's not a good idea, but even if we were, we want to make a direct line of like, well, here's the deal. We found that when we build social followings of 1,000 people, 2% of people lead to this, 1% of people then buy. So therefore 1,000 followers equals $1,000 or $100 or whatever it is. Like, we need to make sure that we're equating it to actual money in the bank. Now, these are general rough ideas, but low ROI activities are things like content marketing. By the way, this is hard for me to say because I love content. I think it's amazing. I love video. I love all of these things like a ton, but they don't directly equal money, or if they do, they're very hard to draw a line. So content marketing, anything around social growth, like we'll grow your following, whatever it is. Video editing services, there's a proliferation of them right now. Short form video editors, they're everywhere. They're great, but they're not making direct money unless they put it into a funnel. They make a call to action. They show how this is going to generate a lead, and anything vanity metrics wise. This is sort of the scarlet letter of the agency world, is that when you see agencies going like, we'll help you get likes, comments, shares, followers, things like that, it hurts me in my soul because like it just doesn't matter. And it hasn't mattered since like, oh man, do you remember, Paulson, back when like Facebook started really rolling out ads? And like at first they told us to build these massive business pages, and then they took that all away and they're like, yeah, now you need to run ads. It was like 2014 or 2013.
Yeah, 2013 probably, yeah.
Yeah, and it was just like a change. And everybody realized that, oh wow, wait a second, this isn't that good a strategy. And unfortunately, even though it was a decade ago, people are still pitching it. And I don't know why. Maybe just old stories die hard, but regardless, high ROI, sales, customers, appointments, leads.
So Adam, I want to add a couple of things here. So I'm trying to use my MBA in finance brain that I have a pretty expensive receipt for no reason.
Yeah.
But anyways, you have to think of supply demand, right? And the economics of every single offer that you have. And you need to define result in the client's eyes, not your eyes, right? That's where a lot of agencies, SaaSpreneurs make a lot of mistakes on how they create offers. So for example, if you have offers that is very close to the revenue line of the business, you are more than likely to be able to stabilize that business in however way you can, because you're very aligned to the revenue side of the business. If you have a offer that is far away from the revenue side of the business, for example, we talk about social media posting, right? There's no way for us to attribute which posts generated what result and to what dollar sign, right? It's very difficult to attribute that versus, let's say, I brought you this many appointments, and out of 10 appointments I brought you, you converted 3. Now we're talking in numerology, like it's very quantitative versus qualitative, right? Like I say this all the time and I tease often. I love my SEO people, but I promise you, your clients have no idea what you're doing. They understand there's a lot of hard work being done, because usually it's hard for SEO folks to really articulate and explain all the different pieces that goes towards good SEO. And clients just see appointments come up, or organic phone calls being generated, or emails being generated. But it's very difficult to often justify something like SEO versus lead generation. Now you can say this many leads came in, this is what converted, your leads are good, bad, ugly, it doesn't matter. So think of the economics of your offer. And Adam, if you don't mind, I would love to get a temperature check. In the comments, tell us what is the one feature or one offer for your marketing agency that you can really stand on. Maybe it's missed call text back. Maybe it's reviews. Maybe you're really good at Facebook ads or SEO. Give me in the comments like your golden goose of an offer. What does that look like? Tori says missed call text back. Yes, that's really popular at the 5-day challenge. I see a few Facebook ads, Google ads, TikTok. Let's see here, content, lead auto follow-up. Okay, cool. So we all have different definitions and ideas that just leads to appointments on a calendar. Right?
Yes.
So Adam, can you elaborate on what you consider to be high ROI?
Yeah, exactly that. It's like, essentially, if you want to map out, so the way that I think about marketing, and it doesn't matter if it's a $1 billion empire or a small mom and pop shop, the way that my brain automatically goes is I start to think of like a sideways funnel and all the steps someone needs to take to make a purchase. So that's it. Every single time, every single business, every campaign I ever create. And it's always like right here on the end, I guess we're backwards in the video, but like right here on the end, this is the sale. So it's like, okay, for a sale to happen, what happens before that? And for some businesses, sales page visit, application, sales call, whatever it is. But let's say it's a sales call. Okay, cool. So this is a sale. This is a sales call. So that's good if I can get them sales directly, but I can also get them sales calls. Okay, what needs to happen before a sales call? Probably an appointment booking. Okay, cool. So if this is worth $1,000 for a sales call is probably worth $250, assuming they close 1 in 4, which means let's reverse engineer it again. Now we have appointment. So, okay, well, how many appointments do we need to actually get a sale? Let's say 50%. So now instead of 250 for a sales call, now I'm at 125 for an appointment. Okay, now how many leads do I need to generate to get an appointment? Well, let's say we need 100 leads at, I guess that'd be $2.50, $1.25 each. Holy moly, we're going to test my math on the fly. But regardless, so now I've got lead gen, like $1.25 or whatever it is. Okay, and then to get that, how many impressions do I need? So again, we can map this out and just reverse engineer the process completely to figure out, and then what service can I offer that's going to move them closer that way? So it's like I could show them content, which may lead to leads, which may do whatever. I can offer them straight lead gen, which is worth $1.25. I can offer them appointment setting, which is worth $125. I can book them actual sales calls, which is worth $250. Or maybe I could do everything, including the sales call and the whatever, and now I'm worth $1,000. So again, it's going to depend on your experience and your skill level and what you want to do. But there's a world of opportunity depending on how confident you are in the tools and your expertise.
Yeah. And in the grand scheme of things, can you imagine a small business owner having to handle marketing by themselves? It's nearly impossible because one, even if you had somebody internally in-house, that person have to keep up with the latest trends that are happening in the space. Plus they have to understand tools, potentially like high level, that puts all these activities in one place. or maybe 5 different tools that they're using that they integrate within the industry, things like that. So it's really, really difficult for a small business owners to really control their own marketing. They have to have a third party resource of some kind. Worst case scenario, a consultant. We call them, fractional CMOs, fractional CTOs. Worst case scenario, they need to have someone on the outside looking in at their business and saying, yes, Paulson, this is the right thing to do in today's market for this quarter. So what happens with the assembly line fulfillment if we have some offers ironed out that makes sense for high ROI?
So essentially, if we get that all set, it provides predictability and consistency, both to us as the agency owner, but also to the client. And it creates this level of confidence, because a lot of the questions that came up yesterday, a lot of the questions that I get all the time is, cool, but what if it doesn't work? Or what do I do here? How do I get results? And the question, or I guess the answer, is really that we choose proven winners that we know we can deliver on, and then we make sure that we deliver a positive ROI. So a lot of this has to do with choosing the right niche, making sure that they've got a high enough ticket value, because if we can do things that are going to generate sales that are worth a couple grand, a few grand, 10 grand, 20 grand, 50 grand to a client, like, we've got a lot of fudge factor there to play with. We have a lot of margin where it's like, okay, well, these leads didn't convert, but that one did, and this did. So yeah, everything just gets easier and more profitable.
Yeah. And the same thing applies for all of you that are watching and you are trying to be a SaaSpreneur or launch a software line within your agency. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. Okay. So let's continue.
Cool. All right. Next up. Essentially, we've covered this, but we want to make sure that we're getting someone as close to that possible hole-in-one. Promise, then deliver. Oh yeah, a couple points here. These are important to cover. First, promise, then deliver. There's a lot of talk about under promise, over deliver. So that doesn't work because your competitors are over promising and under delivering. So you gotta meet them there. Also, should we over promise and under deliver? That's a terrible strategy. So essentially what you're going to find is that because the barrier to entry to start a marketing agency, a SaaS agency, any of this, the barrier to entry is zero. So you're going to have a lot of people that are going to come in, they're going to muddy up the waters, and they're going to leave. So your clients have been burned before. Someone once told me when I was first starting, they're like, look, if you ever get a client and they say bad things about their previous agency, just run, because this means they're a bad client. And literally every client I ever worked with had something bad to say. Sometimes they were polite and they were like, yeah, they weren't great, but like they got burned by everyone. So we have to understand that our clients have had, they've got some emotional baggage with some agencies, and we're going to have to walk them through that. So what I've found, secret number one, is we promise then deliver. So it's like, yes, we can over deliver a bit, but literally just say what you're going to do and do that, and you're already ahead of everyone else. And the second thing is over communicate. And this is actually a really interesting point, Paulson, you brought up about like SEO, where if we're doing something, and what you're going to find is it doesn't matter if it's SEO or web dev or straight up lead gen or social marketing. Most clients don't really get marketing or what you do. So we compensate for this by just over communicating and showing them what we do. So I use Loom, we'll use emails, we'll use audits. I'll send them Looms and I'll say, hey, no need to reply to this. Don't even have to let me know you watched it, but just giving you a real quick update. Here's what we're doing. Here's what we're working on. Here's what's coming up next. And then I future set essentially what's going on for the next 30, 60, 90 days. And I do those weekly, and it takes 2 minutes, which means in 30 minutes, you've gone through like 15 clients. And they're now pretty much bought in. I send it at the end of the week when they're a little less busy, and they're not going to ruminate all weekend about, I'm wasting all this money on this agency and they never even talk to me. So I'm sort of like setting them up, never send them Monday morning when they're busy and most likely to take action and start firing off people. Yeah. Especially in the, sorry, go ahead, Paulson.
No, I was going to just say account management, it's like its own skill set in general. Like it's your customer service skills are, it's a critical component of scaling. Everything like client acquisition, actually, in the grand scheme of things, is not the most difficult thing. Eventually, you'll crack the codes on ads, you'll crack the code on the offers you want to attack with, and you'll be able to bring in appointments and all of that. But what happens with agencies is that we have what we call it churn, right? Churn is basically the killer of most agencies. Within the first 90 days, believe it or not, through data, we know that 76% of clients cancel a traditional marketing service. right? That's what we know about agencies. Now,
Mhm.
when you add SaaS to the mix, you drastically lower that number because you're now introducing technology that they have to kind of sit on. Then the marketing services become essentially a bonus to it. But either way, all of it comes down to your skill on communication, your ability to set the right expectation, your ability to communicate, having a weekly sync up or just even a quick phone call while you're driving to one location to another. Like, it's totally all you need versus like these fancy reports and fancy presentations on a Zoom. Just
Mhm.
call your client and ask them, hey, how are things going? What was your week like? Like, imagine just being friends with your clients, at least in that scenario, and that'll allow you to elevate your customer service, and that has a huge impact on your assembly line. Adam, go ahead.
Yeah, perfect. That's perfect. And I think the big thing for me, if I were to offer anyone advice, because it's tricky to think of like, well, what should I say and how should I say it and how should I phrase it and what should I report? And this is going to sound pithy, but bear with me. It's like, if you think about being a normal human, having a conversation with someone and genuinely caring about them, that's it. Like, that's the secret. Like exactly what Paulson just said. Hey, how are you doing? How are things going? What do you think is working well? What do you think would be this? Is there anything you have coming up? Any promotions or this? Literally just talking to them like they are a friend. And yeah, that's, I don't know, that's probably my secret weapon and something I
Yeah.
stumbled into out of pure ignorance. Just like, I didn't know that you should do something different. So
Yep.
yes,
Absolutely.
that's the goal. Wow, this is amazing. These people are good. That's it. That's it. Okay, so the $1 million question. When it comes to all of the different services and offers and things you can do for your clients, and if we're thinking in regards to like high ROI activities and moving them, like making money, this is a question that I love to ask myself, my team, clients, students, everyone. What would you do if you were only paid based on your results? So get rid of your retainer, get rid of your SaaS recurring fee. You only make money if they make money. So imagine you're working on a rev share where you get 25% of the revenue increase to a business. So for easy math, let's say they're doing $1 million a year, you're going to make, and you get them now $2 million a year, you'll make $250,000. If they're doing $1 million a year, you make $100,000 for them an extra year, you make $25,000. And this is important because we want to ideally be delivering like a 3 to 4 time ROI minimum on our services to our clients. I like to shoot for like 7 to 10 time ROI, but again, it's going to depend on the business. But this forces us to immediately get rid of all the goofy stuff we think we need to do. So it's like, we're probably not making their website prettier. We're probably not creating social content with funny cat memes. We're probably not creating viral videos or anything like that, because that's not going to make them money. We can buffer that later, but it's like, we're going to get them leads, appointments, sales, customers. And this just cuts through unbelievable amounts of clutter. Okay, step 2. Productized services, the secret to consistent and predictable results where we succeed, wash, rinse, repeat. That's literally it. I think we talked about this a bit yesterday as well, where success is almost kind of boring. It's like, once you've figured it out and like once you start making money in your business, you kind of just put the blinders on and you just go and go and go, and it compounds and it scales and you can outsource and leverage. We'll talk about all of that in a second. But remember, that's the name of the game. So we've talked about these. Let's unpack them a little bit here. These are the services, and obviously ones that I'm a big fan of, and I'm going to dive into a couple of them for a little bit more detail and nuance behind it. But essentially, if we're thinking of things that are going to make sales and make money, they're going to come from some variation of these things. So yeah, missed call text back is a huge one. I think it's just like, again, Paulson, you were answering a question yesterday about like, yeah, there's certain things that we have to be good at marketing to do. So someone wanted to launch, like, how do I launch a Facebook ad campaign and get results? And it's like, well, you kind of have to know Facebook ads and how to do it and make an offer and things like that. Whereas missed call text back, this is probably one of those buttons we just push and just put it in. Same with customer re-engagement. I'll show you in just a minute there. But it's like, there's certain things we can do that are just going to get better results. So missed call text back, web chat widgets, Google Business Chat, call to action forms on a website, making an offer. SEO is that tricky beast. I love it. But again, it's because mostly local citations are really the key to just getting really good rankings, and we can just buy those right in. Lead conversion. So we generate the lead, we can convert the lead. Typically, my advice is that we package these together. So it's like, we should not be offering just lead gen. I mean, like, here's a pile of leads, adios. Because anybody that's ever had a client knows the clients are not going to call the leads. Like, it's just, So we can get mad at them or we can accept it. Actually, fun fact, I ran ads back in the day for a big dental firm out of Vancouver, and they were excited and they were expanding and everything was good. And they're like, yeah, Adam, here's the blank check, get us all the leads you can. And I got them 5,000 leads. And I was like, I'm a king of the world. I'm the greatest marketer ever. They called me like 30 days later and they were choked. They were so mad. They're like, nothing's working. What's happening? And I showed them all the leads. I was like, did you call them? And they're like, no, they called none of them. Not one. None, like didn't send an email, didn't do an SMS. They just let 5,000 leads just go away. So I was like, okay, this is kind of on both of us, but I'm going to have to obviously fix this moving forward. So this is where we use things like automatic SMS follow-up, email follow-up, some kind of automated system that's going to do the work for the client. Online ads, Facebook ads, Google ads, and customer re-engagement, we're going to take a look at later. But yes, Adam's favorite, because here's a super easy example of basically just an automatic reply. We could set these up for ourselves. We can set them up for clients. This one has to do with just a basic FAQ. So if someone texts the client and they're like, there's something about the location involved, like where are you located? Where's your business? Whatever it is, we can automatically respond. So you can see the chat there. Hey, we're located here. But we can do this for everything. So if they say, what about this? We can use conditional logic. We can use AI to interpret. We can judge whether the response is positive or negative. We're going to take a look more about this in just a minute. But the point is that we have systems and software in place that we can just plug it in to do the heavy lifting for us. Okay, customer re-engagement. So it's funny, I put automatic SMS follow-up as my favorite. And the reason is because I think that is the lowest hanging fruit for anybody doing any kind of lead gen, trying to increase conversions for clients. Like that's sort of we need that one. That's just like a mandatory, you just have to use it. Anybody that doesn't use it, we're done here. You got to use the tools. However, if you want like your ace up your sleeve, and we talked about this yesterday, and the reason that I like to not offer this as a trial, I like to offer this right after I start working with a client, is because again, if you think back to promise, then deliver, this helps me do that. So with a customer re-engagement campaign, and I'll walk you through what that looks like in a second, it costs nothing. It's basically instant, and it makes you look like a magician because we're going to be generating sales out of nothing. And what you're going to find is that most businesses, like, I don't have the exact statistic, but 90% would be a super safe bet. Like most businesses do no kind of nurture marketing broadcast. They don't send SMSs. They don't send emails or whatever it is. So we have this super ripe opportunity. So let's talk about that. Anybody heard of Dean Jackson and the 9-word email? As a classic OG marketer. So essentially he came up with this in regards to real estate marketing, but we use it now all the time. And what we'll do is we'll send this out to a customer list, previous clients, anybody that's signed up for any kind of information. And we'll basically just say, are you still this? Are you still searching for this? Are you still looking for that? Are you still interested in getting more leads? Are you still interested in increasing sales? You still want to upgrade your plumbing system? Are you still looking to do that bathroom renovation? Are you still looking to install a sprinkler system? Are you still looking to put on solar panel? Whatever it is, because you're going to have a bunch of people that are going to engage. By the way, this works just as well for you and your clients. Actually, side note, the beauty of all of this is that it works just as well for you as it does for your clients. So once you understand how to do this, you get better at client acquisition and lead generation and lead conversions, and so do your clients. So it's like this massive win-win situation. Regardless, this is basically it. Are you still thinking about this one thing? And this one thing is the thing that they signed up for, the thing that the business helps with, the main offer, the core offer, whatever it is. Now, we're going to tie this in because that 9-word email is also going to come in handy with automation. But this is where we're really going to sort of shatter the glass ceiling of what's possible, because we're going to remove as much of us from the equation as possible. Now, I'm a big fan in making sure that you know what you're doing before we automate, because otherwise we don't know what it's doing or why it's doing it. Great example here is ChatGPT. It's like a lot of people are using ChatGPT to do writing, and they should, and it's a phenomenal tool. But unless you know what good copy looks like, you're going to get this really sketchy thing. So for example, I could use AI to do surgery. But you don't want that happening. Like that's a bad deal, because I don't know what's good or bad or dangerous or anything like that. So we need the core foundational knowledge, but then we can sort of put this rocket fuel on top of it.
Yeah. Adam, before we go into step 3, I just want to reiterate a couple of things, right? So I've so far have had the privilege to talk to almost 60,000 agencies here at High Level. And, early on, we used to do a ton of Zoom calls, one-on-one sessions, and there was a lot of patterns in how agencies were building. And here's what I figured out. I'm basically, I'm kind of useless when it comes to the tech stuff. Like, I don't enjoy the workflows. I don't care about, the next feature that's coming out. I mean, I love when Sean, rolls out the coming at you videos and all of that. But like, I don't geek out on that stuff. Like, I'm more of a sales-oriented person, business development guy. So going back to the fulfillment offers that we talked about, if you're not a techie person, if you don't enjoy that stuff, find that person, right? Find that person, either contract it out, bring them inside, and have someone else handle your fulfillment. You don't need to go build out and learn new skills like Facebook ads. It takes like few years to really get good at Facebook ads, believe it or not. These are skill sets that you must dedicate hours and hours and hours, almost like hitting a baseball or shooting a basketball, and get really good at these things. So if you're, you need to choose who you're going to be. Are you going to be the engineer in your business, or are you going to be the business operator that's more of a salesperson? And there's only one or the other. And I know a lot of us marketers think that we're good at both, and you're typically not scaling.
Yeah.
Right. So I just want to reiterate that point, because like when you see these list of offers and tech stuff, like, don't be afraid. It's okay to build a business around something you don't know how to do, but having the right people in the right places will help you actually build the business. Go ahead, Adam. Automations.
Yeah, well, it's a good point and a funny point. So when High Level first came out and launched on the scene, we signed up right away. I was super excited. I used like 1% of the functionality back then. Like, the main thing we were using was the SMS follow-up, which is why I'm such a big fan of it, because I saw just how powerful it was. But like, that was literally it. And there was all these other tools and things we could do. And we had consultants, they were coming in and showing us. And I was like, I don't know any of this. And then fast forward to today, my knowledge of the actual software and the tech and all the things it can do is probably still around that 1 or 2% of all of its functionalities. But like, but it's more than enough. And then I've got the people that can help to do those things whose brains work that way. So it's like, again, much like Paul said, my brain's sort of that higher level, bigger picture thing. And then we find the technicians to go in. The way I think of it is like, if you think of an orchestra and you've got the conductor at the front moving all the pieces around, then you've got your oboes and flutes and saxophones and trumpets. You don't need to know how to play every instrument, but you should know what they sound like. So if somebody's like off key, or like they bring the wrong instrument to practice, something's gone wrong.
That's a great analogy.
All right, software. So we've got a few different things to talk about. We're going to talk about software today and people today, about outsourcing, contractors, freelancers, and we're going to talk about systems on day 3, because that's going to be more the SOPs and some of the nitty-gritty scaling details. So software first. Obviously, allows you to do more with less. Repeatable, scalable way to grow your agency and get client results consistently and predictably. That's where I'm the biggest fan of it, is that it removes my fallible human brain from the equation, because it typically does not make mistakes. If we put in good inputs, we get out good outputs. In development, they call it GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. So it's like, if we put in the good stuff and we follow the recipes and we use the automations, the result is pretty much predictable. Like, it doesn't change, which means once we unlock the secret for us and we find those magic questions and the magic framework and the right things to go, just do it again and again and again and again, and infinitely scalable like that. Also makes your business sticky. Paulson, you said this as well. Hard for clients to leave and lose access. This is the beauty of having a software integrated service. This is why I like giving, especially for clients that like having conversations, we'll give them access to the app so they can have the conversations there. They can do it on their desktop. It makes it really hard for them to leave if you're providing a good value and a good service, because they start becoming reliant on the actual software and on you to keep giving them the goods.
Can I add a couple of things here?
Yeah.
Because I think it's important. So one of the like psychological limitations of how marketers think of fulfillment is based on the quality of fulfillment, right? Like, remember, me, you, Adam, anybody that's watching, and all of us, like, so what, 800 people in here, like, we all absorb content around marketing all day long. We understand different techniques. We understand technology and systems and strategies. Like, this is not something your clients even know about. These are not things that they have built a standard around, right? So what's typically 20% for you is probably 100% for your customers when it comes to fulfillment. So I don't mean to rant here, but stop trying to perfect fulfillment. No one has kept their first customer, I promise you. No one, right? So stop trying to perfect solutions, because here's what we know. If you think about McDonald's, we all can cook a better burger at the house, but why do we all still go to McDonald's? And that's $1 billion company. It's because you buy speed there. You buy convenience. It's not even about the quality of burger. I mean, I think a 10-year-old can really cook a better burger, right? But it's about volume, it's about scaling, and that's the way you want to look at assembly line fulfillment for your agencies. If you want to get to 100,000 a month, which is very easy to do in the agency space, right? Most of them offer one thing with one speed for one type of client for one offer, and it's predictable. And that's a whole lot better than you having 10 custom jobs and the clients are calling you at 9 p.m. and you're just trying to go to sleep at that point, right? So let me get off my high horse of ranting here. This is all coming from like a couple of years of pain building.
That's it. Just building up and building up. Yeah. It's out of, you could tell it's out of love, but like, that's literally it. One of the biggest mistakes I made early on was, and it's one that I still battle with today, but it was because I just nerd out so hard on marketing. I just love it. I make the mistake that other people feel the same way, and they don't. And so what ends up happening is there's this weird curse of knowledge where it's like, we're at let's say a 10 out of 10 on knowledge, and your customers are at like a 1. And we think, you know what? I'm gonna meet them in the middle at 5. But that's not happening. They're not coming up. You got to go to 2. Like you got to go right down to their level. So anytime that I'm creating marketing, I'm always thinking, how do I simplify this? How do I make it make more sense? How do I, instead of using fancy words, it's like, what does this actually mean to them? What are the benefits? What are all of this? And you're going to have a hard time oversimplifying things. Like, it's just not gonna, we know too much. Okay. Software. The other beauty. We talked about this a lot, worth repeating. Some strategies require smart, creative, strategic thinking, like coming up with new angles and hooks for an advertising campaign. So over my career, I've spent over 70 million bucks on Facebook ads. And that took everything because it took studying copywriting, the Facebook ads platform, market research, a lot of years, mentorship, coach, all the kinds of things to get good results. So maybe do that, but maybe don't, because there are some other things to do, like obviously SEO optimizing a Google business profile, building citations. This is incredibly easy. How do you, people ask all the time, how do you optimize a Google business profile? You literally just fill it out. Like, that is the secret. If you want your Google business profile to rank higher, you fill it out. Hours of operation, description about the business, pictures, phone number, that's it. Like, and then build citations to it. Of course, we can get reviews and that'll help to boost it up, etc. But that's about it. Launching a complete lead gen campaign, complete with landing pages, funnels, forms, and follow-up, also relatively easy. We go in high level, we hit a snapshot, we copy it over, we have our entire funnel, and we can replicate this. And this is, again, the beauty of picking, remember yesterday's rule of one niche, one offer, one solution. Like, if we figure that out, we just plug and play, copy and paste. Driving website and social traffic to conversation. Again, we use chat widgets, Google chat widgets. We can use Facebook Messenger chat. We can use SMS to chat, but like, getting those conversations going are one of the most valuable things you can do. I heard this quote back in like, man, it's been at least 6 years, but it was conversations are the new leads. And it was true then, it's even more true now, where like getting someone a lead, a name and a phone number and an email is okay, but getting that person to actually engage and be like, yes, I'm interested. Yes, I want this. And actually like raise their hand is worth, I would say, 100 times more than just like a random lead. So anything that we can do to facilitate that is going to help. Now, talked about this yesterday. Obviously, we've got links to this. This is going to help to sort of install all of this inside of your agency, the whole snapshot. So I don't think we need to go over that again, but what I do want to share with you is this, the customer re-engagement. And how to do this, what it looks like. and sort of how to really build it out, because I think it is a secret weapon for establishing trust and getting results, especially in those early 90 days of that agency where you're going to experience churn. Like if you can start delivering results, people don't, why would they ever leave? Like you've done exactly what you said you're going to do and more. So this again, now this is where I've got to preface it with saying, yes, if you're not techie, don't worry. I did not make this. I literally just clicked a button and it was installed. You can have tech people to take a look at it. There's support, all of those things, but literally we just click a button and this is installed. But I do want to walk you through what this looks like and just how powerful it is, because we can install this in all of our clients' businesses. So we'll start at the top.
Before you get started, so those of you that are, if you're brand new to High Level, give me a 1 in the chat and you don't even have an account. If you know High Level a little bit, give me a 2 in the chat. So what Adam is showing here, somebody is
we got drawing.
So
Picasso.
Let me turn Picasso off here.
There we go.
But anyways, what Adam is showing you is the workflow view inside our automations tree system, right? So what it allows you to do is create if-then conditions. And what you're able to do is build your own, what we call snapshots. Snapshots are basically, the best way to put it is like it's like a framework or a blueprint or a skeleton that you build up in order to duplicate and share or distribute, that allows you to kind of curate your own intellectual property or IP or campaigns for a certain type of client. So once you built that fulfillment line for one client, you can just duplicate that snapshot. You don't have to rebuild those accounts. So that's what Adam is showing you. And that's literally one of the biggest powerful components of High Level. Go ahead.
Yeah, perfect. And that's sort of what allows us to automate and scale things faster than ever before. And this is, again, if we look back to yesterday's on like why it's so much more powerful to have a select and focus niche, is because you get to know all of the things about them instead of having to constantly reinvent the wheel and be like, oh, now I need to learn this and their problems and their flows and so on. So let's start at the top. And I just want to walk you through what this can look like, because this is an actual real life example. We're going to use a teeth whitening one, but you can use literally anything. So essentially what we do is we'll get a client, by the way, this works just as well with yours, but we'll take like a client's list, their emails, their SMS, whatever they have for their customers or people who have engaged with them, and we'll send them this. We can do it via email, we can do it via SMS, we can do it however they're contacting, whatever it is. So it's basically, hey, I've got this thing. Do you want one? Hey, curious if you're still interested in this. We can send a 9-word email. I'm curious if you're still looking to buy a home in the next little bit. Are you still looking to sell or install sprinklers, whatever it is? Then it waits, and then we check if they replied or not. And by we check, I mean the software checks. So it's just going to automatically filter and see, did they reply or not? If they don't reply, we'll send a follow-up and we'll be like, hey, just check in to see if you're interested. Should I set one aside? This is very non-confrontational, non-pushy sales. We have something, we're trying to get it in front of a friend. The way that I think about follow-up, because most people don't do enough, which is to their detriment. Like we need a lot of follow-up to get someone to actually do it. I want you to imagine you've got tickets to a concert or a basketball game or something that your best friend is super into. Like what would you do to get a hold of them to make sure they saw it? Well, you'd call them and you'd text them and you'd probably send them an email. If they didn't answer that, you might send them a direct message. If they didn't do that, you'd probably call their friend too and be like, hey, have you heard from Steve? He's not picking up his phone. Like you'd make an effort to get in front of them to share this thing with them. And if they got mad at you, you'd be genuinely confused. You'd be like, oh, I'm sorry. I thought you might like it. And so that's sort of the approach. If anybody ever does get, well, why are you trying to contact me? It's like, well, I've got something. I just thought you might like it. And then people's guards goes down from there. So anyway, second attempt, wait for reply. If the reply is positive, we say, great, I've got a voucher for you. Click here and you can get it. All of this, by the way, is completely automated. I've done nothing. Or if they say no, we say no worries. That's it. Next, if they do reply right away, same thing. Great, here's this thing. No worries. And just like that, we can take a stalled list, a stagnant list, a list that we would like to re-engage. We can use this for existing offers. We can use this for new offers. We can use this for basically anything you can think of to immediately get responses and sales. I can't even begin to tell you how powerful this is. If you go to a business, you're like, I'm going to help you generate leads, appointments, sales, clients. They pay you. They're a little sketchy because they don't think you're going to do anything. You get their list, whether they have 100 people or 1,000 people. You're going to send this out and you're going to get appointments on their calendar. You're going to make sales. You're going to get leads. Incredible. I don't know, Paulson, if you have any other thoughts on that one. I find that one super exciting. So
Yeah, I think the key is to continuously inquire to your customers, even after you got started, regardless of whether they say yes to an offer or not. Continuously check the temperature on whether they like it or not. What do they like about it? How do you improve? Because the key is to create a 2.0 version of your services that concretes who you are in the market, right? So continuously request your customers of what they think of what you're providing. How's the service? What can I improve? What are things that you can tell me about my team? Or what about the branding style? What about the automations? Like, can you continuously keep that temperature going when it comes to fulfillment? And then what you can do is come back to the automations, come back to the nitty gritty of like, okay, I'm going to rebuild. Like if you're for those of you that geek out on all the tech, give yourself a window that allows you to geek out. So once a quarter for 1 week, you can geek out and rebuild your stuff. Outside of that, do not waste your time rebuilding a single thing. Focus on sales. The only thing that matters in business, I promise you, is setting appointments and closing appointments, setting appointments and closing appointments.
Yeah.
Everything else is secondary. But anyways, that's what I would add to this when it comes to automations.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you for weighing that in. I think it's important to hit that point. It's funny because we can hear it enough times, but it's one of those things that you need to experience before you really get it. So it's worth saying again, because it is that important. It's like setting appointments and doing the appointments. Like that is the path to $1 million. Full stop. Like that's it. We get results. We set the appointments, we get the results for the client. So I heard Ryan Leese call it once GTKT, get them, keep them. And I've loved it. We use it all the time inside the program. It's like, get them, keep them. So get appointments, do appointments, provide results, wash, rinse, repeat. We just do it again and again and again. And anything else that distracts from that is literally just losing you money. Like, yeah, we'll deal with that when we scale 7 figures to 8. Like then we'll get fancy with all that stuff. But like until we're at $1 million. Okay, automation. Contractors, outsourcers, freelancers, white label agencies. Oh, exciting times. Important to repeat, the most valuable skill to have in your agency is client acquisition, the ability to generate new clients. So we've talked about this. It's funny. I feel like we're repeating it in different ways, but clearly there's a theme and a current here that is just so important that we have to keep saying it, which is like the orchestra conductor that does everything and moves all the pieces around. Like that's you. You're in charge of filling the seats. And then you get your team to help do all of these things for you. There we go. Said it before I even said it. I think we've said that enough. Where do you find people? Upwork, Fiverr, Facebook groups, Indeed.com, your neighbor, your friend. Like a lot of the easier to repeat tasks, they don't require, again, PhDs in computer science. Like they're relatively plug and play. You just have to learn what to do, how the software works, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. In addition, real quick, if you guys don't know or gals don't know, we just back during our conference in October in Dallas, we for the first time ever as a company launched our certifications program. And believe it or not, it's really hard to get certified and we like it that way. But what that allows you to do is find certified high-level admins that know what they're doing. And we're creating a directory so you'll be able to log in and just meet with them and things like that. If you want more details on that later, I can provide that. I'll find the links and all of that towards the end of the workshop. But we have a certified program now that allows you to qualify people that can set up all your tech stuff for you. You have to figure out and how to police all of it, what they charge and all of that, but they're basically vetted by our own company, just FYI. All brand new in the last 2 weeks, just FYI, like it's skateboard. So don't crucify me if you find some bad apples in there. Go ahead.
Yes, perfect. Well, that's perfect as well, because what we're going to share with you, and essentially I've got a sample job template that I'll make sure to include in the snapshot automation as well, because we are going to want to ask them questions, walk them through things, make sure that they're actually capable of doing what we need them to do. But where do you start? Easy to outsource tasks. So these are things like if you're thinking SEO, anything on-page optimization, you can get someone to do an audit for without even needing access to your client's account. So a lot of people have concerns, rightly so, of giving people full access, giving contractors full access to their client stuff. Well, with like an audit, they can just do it. They'll look at, they'll use software, much like we did when we did our marketing reviews. Off-page link building, also incredibly easy. SEO reports, very easy. Anything website content creation and management, easy to outsource. We can preview it, we can check it, we can edit it. They don't need access to things. Graphic design, we should not be doing that ourselves as agency owners. Paid ads optimization, this one's a little bit trickier because obviously they're going to need to see the ads in that, but they can still write them. They can still design campaigns, and then you can be the one to go in and actually upload it to the platform. Paulson, it looks like we got more Picassoing going on. We've got.
Let me go ahead and hopefully it's not even me.
That's all right. We're just typing away. There we go.
Right.
With paid ads, I always start slow, have them do reviews, write what they need to do before letting them actually get access. So there's no need, no reason, and almost no excuse to just go out there and start hiring tons of full-time paid employees. Like it just doesn't make sense. Start with really easy to outsource tasks first and build your leadership managerial muscle of like, all right, this is how I look after people. This is how I can check what they're doing. This works. I feel safe with them. They seem okay, et cetera, et cetera. Landing page funnel builds, again, all of this is tech stuff that can be just super easy outsourced. And yeah, most other tasks. Essentially, if it doesn't fall under the lines of GTKT, get them, keep them, find clients, convert them, have the sales calls, get them results, like we can find other people to help us with that. All right, systems. More on this tomorrow. A lot to talk about.
Yes.
And I think final slide of the day. When you're thinking of what services to offer to clients, and you're looking at all of the ones that we covered, and a lot of them sound techie and nerdy and weird and all of that, there's a filter that I want you to work through kind of in this order. So the first of which is value to client. So if you remember back to that golf course analogy of like, how valuable is this to a client? Are we solving a bleeding neck problem? Are we making them sales? Are we making them money? Are they going to look at us like the heroes that you truly are? That's going to help us pick the right thing. Next is experience and ability. How comfortable do you feel doing this, leveraging software, technology, tools, etc.? For example, running a international Facebook ad campaign, spending $100,000 a month. If you're brand new to it, probably not going to want to do that. Whereas local SEO, building citations, optimizing the page, installing a chat widget, very easy. Anyone can do it. And then fancy word of the day, automatability, which I had to Google because I wasn't sure it was a real word, but essentially it is. And it means, how easy is this to automate, to outsource, to delegate? Like, we want to be doing unscalable things in the beginning, but we also have to keep our eye on the prize, where we don't want to build ourselves an agency prison where we're working a 9-to-5 job, but now we're working 5 to 9 as well. So we're just always doing these things. So we've got to think ahead. Okay, when I have 5 clients, what's this going to look like? When I have 10 clients, what's this going to look like? When I have 50 clients, what's this going to look like? Could I have 100 clients? Could I have 1,000 clients? What are those services going to look like so that I can expand from there? And with that said, let's open it up, my friend.
How does it feel? How does it feel? You feel relieved? You're like, you know what? I got through my slides.
That was a lot of slides. Yeah. It's funny because I thought, I was like, yesterday was so many slides. Today, I'm going to make less slides. And then last night, based on the questions that we had, I was like, oh, I need more. I need a slide to cover that. And we got to talk about that. And we got to talk about, there's a lot of stuff. So yeah, I feel good. We'll see how everyone else is doing though.
Yeah. So before we get started on the Q&A, which is, you want to stay through Q&A, by the way, it's really insightful. And we're going to spend the next 30 minutes doing a Q&A. I'm going to share a couple of bonuses that everybody could get and take advantage of before we forget about it. Otherwise, I'll forget to share. So I'm going to share my screen here and share. There we go. Okay, cool. So those of you that are participants of this workshop, we're providing a 30-day free trial if you are a brand new customer. Let's say you don't have a high-level account. That also includes you didn't cancel an old high-level account or cancel your trial or something like that. Either way, if you are brand new or even coming back, you can jump on a 30-day free trial that's only available on this workshop, and you get the trial to the $297 account, so it's got a ton of features and things like that. The second thing is, if you are an existing customer already, let's say on the 97 or the 297 plan, all you have to do is upgrade to the next tier, because we all really want you to just focus on SaaS and get your SaaS stuff launched, because we know those customers stay where agency services No matter what you do, they cancel out. But either way, we want you to upgrade. And once you upgrade, you'll be able to get all the collaterals that's available to you that's made by this workshop. And the link is gohighlevel.com/Adam workshop offer. I'll throw that into the chat here. And that is a special bonus we have for everybody that's attending live through this workshop. Now, what is included when you sign up for a new trial or upgrade? You get the 5-day challenge course. Those of you, I see a few attendees here that are part of the 5-day course. It's very simplified. It keeps you in a narrow lane of how to get your first paying customer. Okay, we teach a lot about missed call text back and how to really launch your SaaS. The second course you can get for free by signing up for a new 30-day trial or upgrading is the SaaSpreneur Local Hero Playbook, which allows you to basically add multiple different features and teaches you how to scale with multiple features for your SaaS. The third thing is I twisted Adam's arm and I said, Adam, we've got to give away a snapshot. So he and his team went to work for several weeks and they built out this workshop specifically for this particular event. And I'll talk a little bit about what's included in that snapshot. So the snapshot from Adam, you also get the list of 7-figure niches Adam really likes. You also get the perfect cold calling script. You also get Adam's podcast guest outreach email templates when you sign up for a new trial or upgrade. So all of that is at the gohighlevel.com/Adam workshop offer. Let me also share my screen one more time with a different doc that tells you what's inside the snapshot from Adam. So here is the screen. Can y'all see my screen here? I'm sharing a Google Doc here. So here's what's included in his snapshot. You have the calendar system. It's a book a call with me, audits and demo. You can obviously change it and edit it the way you would want. He has pipelines also structured in there based on the average sales cycle. You've got a ton of stuff for automations on appointment booking, email sequences. He's included Facebook Messenger sequences in there, 5-minute follow-up. He's also giving you a free website, which nobody does these days. You get a free marketing agency website template. And with the 5-day challenge, you also get some templates in there so you can choose which one you want. You get a website chat widget. You also get a funnel in there, a 4-step funnel, a book a call with me funnel. So you're getting like 3 big items there on top of it. You get forms and surveys and all these different things. But I just, guys and gals, I'm not salesy enough to be pitchy. And I just want to tell you that it's available. If you don't take advantage of it, no problem, no offense taken at all. We're going to have another workshop regardless, and you can jump into it. But the 30-day trial to the $297 account, you're not going to find it in too many other places except for this workshop. But anyways, Adam, let's go with some Q&As. I'm going to admit more people. I see more people joining in. So let me go ahead and first of all, look at the streaming. So post your questions in the Facebook streaming. So Jordan's going to help me kind of point some of those out. But meanwhile, I'm going to go ahead and turn on and pin a couple of folks. If you can jump on your camera, that's appreciated, and keep it to one question so we can get to as many as we can. And me and Adam will take turns addressing those. Andrew, hey, Andrew. Let me go ahead and unmute you. Andrew, I know you. I know who you are from the 5-day challenge courses. So welcome back, man. Hopefully you got a lot out of this. Where are you checking in from? And what's your question?
Hey, Boston, great stuff. I'm in Dallas. I'm in right outside Dallas. So I'm in the back of the woods of High Level. So
yep. That's
hey, great stuff. Adam, have a question for you. It's about the customer re-engagement, right? So when you get the customer list, and what am I going to do what is the client going to do to this list to get those workflows to trigger? What's the process for those workflows to get triggered that you were showing earlier?
Oh, sorry. I think you're muted. There you go.
Perfect. CSV, and then you just upload it. There's fancier ways to do it that we could, like through a trigger or through filling out a form. We could have them do it that way, but like the easiest way by far is you just literally take that list from them in a sub account, and then you can just run it through. So we just like fire the automation. And then depending on the size of the list, we'll decide like how many of them we want to go out at once. So we don't, if they've got like 30,000 people, we're not going to send 30,000 out at once. We'll drip them out at 500 a day or 400 a day or whatever it needs to do.
You're actually loading that in. Well, you're feeding that list to the trader. Got it. Cool.
Yeah, you
All
got
right.
her.
Got it. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Perfect.
Yep. Awesome. Let's go with Andrew. Hey, Andrew. There you are. Let me go to unmute you, or Andre. Sorry. There we go. Ask to unmute. There it is.
Hi.
Hey.
I'm from Slovakia. My name is Andrew. I'm 18 years old. And my question is, I'm still new to this. It's been a week, and I'm really struggling with choosing a perfect niche for me. And I got recommended by by you guys, by mentors, that I should choose a niche that I have experience in. And I'm working with computers since my childhood. So I want to ask if that would be a good idea to go into computers niche, and what would be the best niche in computers, with all the steps you told, that to have $500+ niche, that to be really profitable, or should I go with completely something else that is better than computers?
Cool. Okay. So step number one is, when it comes to niches, there is no best niche, right? So it's like, it's going to be totally specific to you, this is such a cop-out answer. So I'll give you a better one in a second. But like, there's so many different things to choose from. You do want to pick something that you either have experience in or interest in, for sure. So if we assume computers, which is totally fine, but we're going to have to like sub niche that down. So is it like computer repair? Is it computer installation? Is it computer trainings for senior citizens? Is it this kind of thing? Is it that kind of, like, there's so many different ways that you're going to be able to sort of split that up. So you'll want to start writing those out. So it's like, write out all of the different sub niches, say under computers, and start Googling how many businesses are there? What's the growth? What's the trajectory? Are there competitors here? Are there potential clients? Like, for example, if we were saying randomly computer training for senior citizen programs, I don't know that there's a sufficient amount of those programs available, like 50,000, 100,000 that you're going to be able to go into. So maybe we need computer repair. And then if we're computer repair, okay, well, are we looking at Mac or PC? Are they local? Is this really a thing anymore? Is this a growing industry, or are people just throwing them away? So yeah, you're going to have some more research to do to find the right one. But I think it's like, as long as you do that and you work through the steps, especially the ones we talked about in the previous lesson, you should be able to come up with a pretty solid list. Paulson, I'm sure you've got some other thoughts to add there.
Yeah, when you're starting out, everything you know about an industry and what you perceive it to be is probably not accurate, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I recommend you working with like as many industries as you possibly can and want in the beginning, and essentially create a beta experience for yourself of like exploring. Like, it's okay to explore. And yes, your mentors are right, your coaches are right. I've had the really big coaches that tell you the same things, like, yes, niche down, have a focus. And that idea of niching down is about scaling. When you're trying to just get revenue, you're not scaling, you're just launching, right? So after you fulfill 10, 15 clients is when you need to really make the decision of truly niching so you can scale, right? And you're building a branding around that. So in the beginning, work with anybody and everybody and get your feet wet and figure out who you like. And then from out of that 10, 15 people you work with, maybe go down to 1 or 2, right? And have 2 verticals and figure out which one you love versus like, right? And that's probably the way I would launch. Just work with a bunch of different people and explore.
And what about the thing that mentor said, that I should start local? Because since I'm from Slovakia, I might not get paid as good as I could in USA, for example. So should I start in local, or should I start in abroad, mostly USA? Because I'm focusing on having my agency abroad, not local.
Why do you want to start an agency abroad?
Because local, I would have to everything translate and do in my native language. Sure. And speak with customers in native language. And I prefer English more. Maybe it's weird, but Yeah.
If it's a language thing, I mean that's one of the aspects. But don't assume that American businesses are going to pay you more and they're going to keep you longer just because they're in the US or Canada. Like honestly, I don't think anybody should go abroad because there's enough of a size of a local business. Like I recently came across a SaaSpreneur in Sweden. He got to like close to 1,000 accounts in less than 2.5 months, where I know about agencies that are trying to launch their SaaS for a couple of years now that are nowhere near 100, right? So there is advantage of being local in a certain space. And I think if you're international, start local. And eventually when you build a brand that's very, highly reputable, then go into markets that are first world. And then even that, I would do it with a local partner in the US. Like I wouldn't even go directly to the market. I would create partnerships and be a fulfillment house or a front end sales house for someone that's fulfilling here. There's few ways to go about it, but that's what I would recommend. Yes, go local in your region and build, because I promise you that's probably underserved and there's not enough experts there anyway.
Because I just thought that there will be more opportunity in USA than my country. So
Yeah,
that's just why.
That's a big assumption, right? There's plenty of businesses in every country for an agency.
Okay, thank you so much.
So let's go with Razi. Hey, Razi, how's it going? Let me go to unmute you. Great round of questions here. These are important ones, even though, we repeat some of these, but these are great questions.
Yes, thank you so much, guys. I'm
Yeah.
a little new to the space.
Yeah.
And the question I have is, I've been in the real estate world. I'm specifically a commercial real estate broker, and I can definitely see a lot of value being provided in that space. But I'm not that involved in the marketing space. So I'm a little confused about the SaaS world versus the agency world and what direction would be the right way to go. My intention was to just try to scale. So I'm not sure how I can scale, not having experience in the agency world. Versus it seems like SaaS is more quicker, scalable. So I'm not sure what framework I should be thinking about, what questions I should be thinking about. Thank you.
Go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, that's a good question. It's so dependent, I think, on your goals and where you are right now, and also skill sets, experience, interest. It's like these are good conversations and they're good questions because they're so nuanced. So it's like we can't just make a video or write a blog post and like, here's how to pick one. Like it's so dependent on you and what you want. So it's like my view is that the fastest path to cash, period, is high ticket agency services. Like if you want to make the most amount of money, the fastest way, agency, full stop. Now, is it the most scalable, unlimited potential, automated? No, like not at all. Like it's more stressful than SaaS. You're going to have to do more services, but like it's also a bit of a myth to think that SaaS is going to be completely hands-free. Like if you don't think your clients are never going to call you because their tech didn't work or something didn't happen, I've got a buddy who runs a very successful SaaS business. And he's like, yeah, I'm less busy than when I had the agency, but not infinitely. Now, a lot of that has to do with the way he has it set up. And that's another story for another day. But the point is, there is no like perfect thing. It's just what's more perfect for you and right now. So the approach that I take, and we're going to talk about this more tomorrow, is very much like a hybrid approach. And I do something called waterfall pricing, which I don't want to dive into too much now, but essentially I will make my first offer to a client, the one that I want to sell, that I think is going to get them the best results. And then if they balk at it, they don't like it, they don't have, at least I have something else that I can come at them with and I can recover the sale. So if you're coming in too high, you can go low. If you're coming in too low and they want more, you can then go high. So I don't know if to me, it's never really been one or the other. It's always been both. And to have those things, especially because they're complementary.
Yeah. And to add on to what Adam's saying, the worst thing you can do when you're launching either the agency or SaaS is wait for yourself to develop skills. Right? Like SaaS is not that easy. I mean, there is a lot of work, a lot of build up, yes, you get snapshots from everybody at high level, but like, it's not simple to just launch a software company. Only thing we've done made it easy for you is not have to go build a development team. That's all fine and dandy, but you got 500 features to choose from, figure out the integrations that make sense for the industry. There's a lot of complex scenarios there. So my recommendation, being the sales hat that I always wear, is find someone that can do your fulfillment, SaaS or agency. It doesn't matter. Figure out their pricing, right? And that's what I did. I figured out who in dental could actually fulfill ads for Invisalign, and I found 2-3 people. One was like 800 a month, the other one was like 1,000, and then I had one guy from like Pakistan who said, hey, I'll do it for 250, right? But they all had different quality differences. I went to my market and said, I'm gonna sell this for 3,500. So I got zero fulfillment inside my own sanity and hours, but someone else, I'm paying almost 30-40% to just handle fulfillment, and I just stayed in the lane of sales because that's all I want to do. Because the other option is for me to go develop these skills to run the fulfillment with my own hours, which doesn't make sense to me, right? So you not being an agency owner or a SaaSpreneur yet, you're a real estate person, I would find someone that can do all this for you. Focus on sales, because people in the real estate world are more sales driven than technical, typically in general. So I would say stay in the lane of sales, figure out ways to create a system that allows you to get inbound leads for your agency and services, and just throw up a beta and get 10-50 people in there and just launch and rinse and repeat from there.
So follow-up question on the fulfillment. Is it possible to go to one person that can do all those things in-house, like another agency? Is there such a thing as a sub-agency that can do a lot that you just hire that for fulfillment?
Yes, that's just the way, believe it or not, 90% of agencies are contracted out.
Okay.
Services, the fulfillments are actually ran by technical engineering minded people within the industry. Like in this group right here inside High Level, there's 60,000 agencies here. More than 70% are sales houses. 30% are actually technical driven people or folks that are starting out developing those skills, right? So you have plenty to choose from, and it's not just High Levelers. Any agencies from any space of marketing could help you do fulfillment. But hopefully you got some nuggets out of this.
Yeah, I've got a quick.
Go ahead, Adam. Oh no, you're muted. Okay, there you go.
Oh, did I? Am I good now?
No, you're good now.
I'm good now. Right on. Yeah, quick follow-up. Essentially, it's funny because like I'm to my core, to my heart, my soul, I'm a marketer. I love marketing. I think it's the greatest thing ever. But the more successful I become, the longer I've been in this game, the more that I realize my real job is actually sales. And every day I wake up a marketer and I go to bed a salesman, because I was like, I need like marketing, it's everything. And I was like, oh, but it's nothing if I don't have the sales. The second thing is when you're looking for that person that can do it all. Yeah, but that's guys like Paulson and I, and we're unicorns, and it would make no sense, because why? Like, why would you pay for our expertise to do things that you don't need done? So it's like, you're much better off, again, and this is where focus comes in. Like, figure out what your niche needs, what are the services required to get them the results in the fastest way, and then 80-20 it. Like 80-20 everything. You don't need to give them all of this stuff. Focus on the thing that's going to get results, and then you can find one person. Maybe they're amazing at funnels or ad copy or Google Ads or whatever it is. But
yeah, I would even go with like 4 or 5 different people, 2 for high level stuff, 3 for advertising stuff, because now you can diversify a bad fulfillment. Like you have insurance against one person, right? So all in one, having one person do everything is probably pretty high risk to run on fulfillment, especially when you're providing money back guarantees these days. That's kind of the industry standard now.
Yeah,
you do. But I'm gonna go ahead and move to the next question here. Yeah, Timothy. Hey, Timothy, how's it going? Let's see, 12, 16. Okay, yeah, we got time. Timothy, what's your question?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Oh, great. That's great. It's kind of a wider question. If to both of you, what actually inspired you both to get into the entrepreneurship, and could you tell us a bit about the hardships of actually starting out? Because right now I'm literally living in my mom's basement, dreaming about the steps ahead.
Okay, I'll go first. Real quick, it's a long story, but here's the quick version. So I used to be a business jet pilot. So I flew the world's rich and famous around. It was from the outside, greatest job in the world. Paid well, stayed 5-star resorts. Clients were amazing, but it wasn't for me. And they had full control over me. So they said, go fly. I went flying. Doesn't matter if it was my honeymoon or Christmas, didn't matter. So I snapped. It was just like, I literally can't do this anymore. And I quit. So they flew me home. Everyone was great. They paid me a severance to cover me for a few months, but then I was hooped. I had nothing because outside of flying, you get trained to fly a plane and nothing else. So I was like, okay, who needs a pilot? And I didn't want to do it anymore. So my wife's like, you should do marketing. And I said, what's marketing? And she's like, I think you'd be good at it. I was like, what's marketing? So I got a book on marketing. I read it. I was hooked. I got another book and I got another one. And I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever studied. So I started to learn. I took courses. I read every book. I paid for mentors I couldn't afford. I took courses I couldn't afford. And I started to stack knowledge and experience, and nothing worked. So I would drive to a client's office. I'd work for $5. I'd build a campaign that wouldn't work. I'd drive home. I'd make less than minimum wage. I sold running shoes on the side after being a professional pilot who was making many 6 figures. And now I'm literally selling running shoes for minimum wage. And I was just grinding. It was 14, 16-hour days. It was 7 days a week. And everybody thought I was nuts until they didn't. And that was it. And then it was like, I made nothing. Then I made a little. Then I made a lot. And then all the people that were like, you're weird and crazy, they shut up. Then I made $1 million. Then they really shut up. Then I made a few million. And then they're like, how are you doing this? Tell me everything you know. And that was it. It was like this flat line. And then it just went. So yeah, literally it's like the rock chipper hitting a stone and you just hit it and you don't know when it's going to go, but when it goes, there's that diamond inside. And life, I can't even tell you now. I don't even know how many more times than I used to make flying, infinite more. Like life is not even close. I have complete control. I do what I want, when I want, where I want, with who I want. Family travels everywhere with me. I would have never believed it was possible. And I think that's the takeaway I have for you and anybody else is that it's hard to believe some of the guys out there that are really hypey and like, you can do it all because they just seem too fake. But I'm like, trust guys like Paulson and I that are like, we're pretty normal, down to earth dudes. And we're like, we did it. And it wasn't by being ridiculously smart or anything. It was just working really hard and following the steps. So yeah, there's a light at the end of the tunnel and it's not a train.
Yeah. And I actually don't want to share my personal story. Honestly, I would just probably like spend the next 30 minutes crying because it's difficult. But what I'll tell you, what I will tell you is this. Building an agency or starting an agency and failing in it, it's the #1 personal development program life can give you, because you're playing with other people's money depending on your own skills, and you're trying to listen to 500 voices in how to actually scale the business, right? Did I pause somehow? Am I there still? Did my connection go out? Let me see.
Cool. I can echo what Paulson's saying as his internet comes back. We talked about this, I think, yesterday as well. Yeah, you're back now. Basically, we talked about this yesterday as well, about how an agency is like, it's the #1 personal development tool because it forces you, again, there's this thing about like, you set the goal of making $1 million, not for the $1 million, but for the person you need to become in order to achieve that. And what's fascinating is that when you achieve that goal, you then realize you're like, hey, wait a second, what's 10 mil look like? I wonder what kind of person that has to be. And then it's like, hey, I wonder what 100 mil looks like. That's interesting. And the money, like once you have, I don't know, for me, it was 30 grand a month. Once I had that, I couldn't spend it. So it was like everything after that was just this personal development goal of what else can I do?
Yeah. And sorry about my internet. I'm telling him to pedal faster back here, but either way, one thing I'll suggest on this question of mindset is you have the ability to program your mind to function a certain way. And that starts with you fixing your pillow and fixing your bed as soon as you get up, right? Making sure you drink that water, making sure you put a smile on your face before you speak your first word. Like you need to very much like focus on what you're doing. And the best form of love is like discipline, right? So I keep everybody around me in an extremely high discipline manner in who I work with. I mean, Adam can tell you the amount of communication that I had just with him on just ramping up for preparation for something like this was like a month long, a lot of requirements, deadlines, all these different things. And that's just kind of the way you have to function and operate, because in the reality of it, it's a big battle. It's the jungle. There's some kid out there that's 12 years old learning TikTok ads in a garage that is going to be a millionaire, that is coming for every agency in here. Right?
Yeah.
That's the reality of the business, right? So I think it's up to you to build that mindset, but great question. I'm going to try my best to not cry.
Yeah, those are, it's funny, man. It's funny you say that. I give the real story is, yeah, there was tears and thoughts of family leaving and being awake at 3 a.m. working with my wife, arms reach away, because we lived in the smallest apartment you've ever seen with no kitchen table on a counter. I was like, yeah, like literally eating sidekicks and tuna for food. So yeah, it's a battle, but
you go through a couple of swiped credit cards to just get to masterminds, to meet people. Like you're not even building anything yet. Just to meet people, you got to swipe a couple of times to get to these masterminds. And then you're like, okay, I'm surrounded by the right people. That alone takes quite the amount of mental stress. But anyways, Timothy, appreciate you sharing. I'm happy to share my story with you at a personal level. But it's definitely not for the public room. There's a lot to it. But anyways, Paul, thanks for
so much,
jumping in. Yeah, for sure. Paul, what's your question? Where are you checking in from?
Yeah, Paulson, Adam, thanks for having me here. I'm Dripping Springs, Texas, which is outside of Austin. We're the hill country. It's beautiful out here. And first, before my question, Paulson and Adam, thank you so much for this. It has been, I think since 2020, we've all gotten worn out of virtual conference calls, but Adam, you are very engaging, you are very uplifting, you are very inspiring, and it makes this really, a worthwhile course, because I feel like you're engaged. I feel like you're talking to me and not to a screen. So I really appreciate that, Adam.
Thank you.
So you kind of mentioned this in the last one, and in your last answer, but just want to ask you some specifics about. I'm also from outside. I'm coming into this. I have a sales background, but not a marketing background. If I want to spend my time professionally develop myself, you asked a question, Adam. You said, what does good copy even look like? And I couldn't answer that question. You said you're a marketer to your core. I'm like, I need to be able to speak this language so I can present myself with integrity that, hey, I can handle your marketing success and we can help you move forward. What would you say for beginners like me? What are your 2 or 3 recommendations for just marketing professional development so that I can be inside the industry?
Yeah, super good question. And it's, for me, my shortcut to success is immersion. So it's like, actually, Paulson referenced this as well when he's like, when we used to swipe credit cards to get into the right rooms. Like, I remember those, because to the outside, oh man, your family judges you hard. They're like, you ain't got the money to go doing that. You're like, yeah, but it really is. It's that old Jim Rohn quote of like, you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Well, the fact is, if we can't get into the physical rooms, good for you. You can be in the virtual room. So here, and you can hear how, like, it's interesting when Paulson and I have a conversation, the way that we talk and the way that we think about things and the way that I map out, look, this is how I think about marketing, and I start here and I reverse engineer it there. All of those are going to be ways to sort of like, again, immerse yourself in it. So the best advice I can give, and this is probably the only like self-promotional pitch I'll really have, is like, my YouTube channel has 700 videos on it that are all on marketing. And it's delivered maybe a little bit more dressed up than just this casual conversation we're having right now. But like, all of that has been with the intention of sharing the information that has taken me over a decade to learn that I wish I had in the early days. So it's like, from, again, literally anything on digital marketing. So if you were to like set aside a week and just like have a pen and paper, or better yet, like an hour in the morning and just like watch through some videos and then go through it again later, you'll hear the terms and the way that we think about it, and they'll just start to become second nature. And then I think from there, that'll give you other things of like, you'll get curious about content and go down that road, or podcasts and go down that road, and like, let your curiosity guide you. Because again, if we're thinking about being the conductor of our orchestra, there's so many different instruments. You kind of got to go to the ones that you're curious about, because like, we all have different leanings, analytical, creative, whatever kind. So yeah, that's what I wish I had. Like in the early days, it was a lot of books and then podcasts and then audiobooks. Now I still like, that's my routine every morning, is like, I listen to an audiobook while I'm at the gym. So it's like 1 hour a day minimum. And it's pretty much always marketing related. So
yeah. Okay. And is that just youtube.com/Adam Erhart?
Yeah. If you go to YouTube and you type in marketing, you'll find me. If you type in Adam Erhart, you'll find me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Adam, I don't know how you did it, man. You got like 300,000 subscribers. It's crazy. Like our high level channel is not even 10%
He's
of
a
it.
marketer.
So
Of course he
that's
has
literally what
It's
he's doing.
marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Paul, the only thing I would add here is you need to understand who you are in the landscape of business, right? In the agency world, I say this respectfully, I love all of you, but 80% of us cannot sell services. About 20% can actually sell services, right? So you being part of that sales cohort is very valuable to any agency. If I ask just to have everybody comment one in the chat today of, can I have someone like Paul handle my sales? I promise you there will be 10 agencies lined up for you to study their offer and go do sales for them. And that's kind of what I did. I literally offered my skill set and I said, hey, can I just sell your offer? And I just want to understand how you fulfill it. And I just be honest with them. Hey, I'm trying to understand how you built this thing and I'm hoping for a mentorship. But meanwhile, I would love to sell $50,000 with a retainer for you this month. Can we make that happen? And an advanced agency owner that has at least maybe 50 clients is a good start. And anybody below that, to me, is still launching. They're in their beta. They haven't arrived yet. So find an agency that's above that threshold of client book of business, and then you can partner up with them. Like, I mean, that's literally how I got started. This is 2013, 14. Back then, you didn't really have a lot of courses to even choose from. You had Sam Ovens, who had a mindset course. You had Dan Henry, who was a rookie at the time starting out. You had Billy Jean, who was also a rookie at the time. And then you had someone
Jeff Walker, PLF, went
Jeff
through that one.
Walker, yeah.
Yeah.
Then you had Ty Lopez, who was just newly started, and there's like I was one of Ty's like first 15th student or something.
Yeah, I was like the 67 club or whatever it was. Oh man,
Yeah.
I did all of those.
So back then you didn't really have enough resources to go to. So what I would do is go to events and masterminds. So I would pay $5,000 or $6,000 to go to a mastermind, meet with somebody. And I did that to Billy Jean. Billy Jean had an event in San Diego. I went over there in 2014. I met today's power players like Rob Bailey, Nick Robbins, Josh Nelson, Robin Alex, Roxanne Ray, all these power players back then were students. And I got into those rooms, which is what led me to building 3 agencies and now being part of a software startup, right? So it's getting in the right rooms and pay to get in, or do the work with them and spend your time to get in. Either way, I think partnering up with an agency to handle sales for them is what I would do if I'm in the sales side before I just go launching out. And that may feel like a job, but liberate your mind that you're not working for somebody. You're getting paid to learn in somebody's business.
Yeah. Okay, solid. I appreciate that. That's
Okay.
That's really good advice. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Let's go with Leon Paul. Hey, Leon, let me go to unmute you. There you are. Okay, cool.
Hi, how you doing?
Hey.
Just to repeat what Paul said, really appreciate the value you guys are giving. It's been fantastic. Actually, you've probably answered my question through the other answers, but I'll ask it anyway, just for emphasis. So say you're in a position where you're having to be a unicorn. So myself, I'm more towards the sales side, but I'm having to do the fulfillment. And you said before, say what you're going to do, then do it, but you haven't done it before. So you can get in the room, you can get the meeting, but you're not certain about delivering the results. How do you go about that? You know, presenting something.
Tell them the truth. Tell them the truth. Tell them the truth. That's it. The problem is when we try to mask up the truth. Tell them, hey, I'm starting out. I don't know if this is going to yield results. If it doesn't work out, I'm going to pay you back. It's that simple.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's it's funny, there's this, it gets misconstrued all the time, but we've all heard the expression fake it till you make it. And there's so much value and also nonsense tied up with that. So the value in it is that, I don't want to say fake it, but it's like model the behavior of the person that you want to become. So it's like, let's do that instead. So it's like, we need to, okay, what does me as a $1 million agency owner look like? How do I act? How do I conduct myself? What are the kind of experiences I have with someone? The other thing is we have to get rid of the other one, which is like, yeah, we can't go in and posture our way through it because clients will tell. And even more than the clients, I think this is probably the hardest thing. I've never had a really good time way of articulating this, but it's like when we lie to others or we fake it, like we're lying to ourselves and we destroy our confidence. It's like we know when we're sort of like putting up a front, and then it just kills our confidence, and then our energy in the sales meetings trash and everything goes. So yeah, be honest, and or find the people that can deliver the services, and or find the services that you know are going to work because they're software related, and or talk to them about, look, I'm doing this for a referral or a testimonial case. There's so many options. But again, if we think back to just be kind, human, caring, like I genuinely care about you. I think this will work. You're going to be my first client. Here's what I'm doing. Here's what I'm doing to mitigate risk. Here's what I'm confident we can deliver for. Here's what I'm looking for, et cetera, et cetera.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's what I thought. I just wanted to.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, it's important.
Let's say the business is that. Sorry, go on.
No. I was gonna just say, when things go wrong, face it, lean into the problem. Don't run away. Don't run away. And we all have the fight versus flight syndrome in general. I say lean all the way in. Like one of my first clients in dentistry, she told me, Paulson, I'm going to give you $500 of ad spend. Here's my debit card. No problem. I got a contractor to run my Facebook ads at the time. He didn't pay attention. The ad account spent $5,000 that month. And I did
that too.
I'm ecstatic because I'm like, holy crap, we got leads coming in. It's going to be great. I'm like, dude, this guy for $500 gave me like 400 freaking leads. I'm ecstatic. I'm telling my wife I'm going to quit my job, all this crap. And the guy called me. He's like, hey, Paulson, I don't know what happened. I'm so sorry, man. We made an error. Admin. This is literally what he said word for word. We made an admin error, and I was about to throw my computer off the window. And he's like, we spent $5,000, but hopefully the clients can convert all of it. But let me know if you have any other accounts you want me to fulfill for you.
Yeah.
Like he was like so unemotional about it. I'm like, I'm about to cry because I'm worried about getting sued at this point, right? So I'm like, forget it. I'm about to get roasted. I call Dr. Fraser. I probably shouldn't say her name, but anyways, I called Dr. Fraser. I'm like, Dr. Fraser, I just want to tell you, we made a big mistake, and we accidentally spent $5,000 of your marketing budget on the ads. In return, we did get 400 leads, and I know front desk is not going to call even 10% of that, but I just want to lean in and tell you, here's what happened. And I like to offer you a solution, which is I don't want you to pay for marketing for the next 3 months. I'll make it up to you. I want to go back into fixing this. And she, in that week, called me back and said, Paulson, I just want to tell you, I fly with the Eagles, and I want you to fly with me. You're the first person I've ever paid $3,500 a month on marketing. I'm used to paying $25,000 every single month. Right? This was the first exposure I have of a power player in the industry. And she renewed her contract. We ended up working together for like almost 5 years. And it started with me leaning towards a problem instead of running away and blaming it on Zuckerberg. But anyways,
I got two real quick ones just to make it feel less painful. I didn't have an agency outsourcer do this. I did it myself. The client gave me like, I can't remember. I'd say it was $150 and I put in 1,500, money I did not have. I had to call them and tell them, and I told them I would just pay it out of my own pocket. So I had to do that. The second thing, I had a Facebook client. Do you remember Power Editor?
Oh,
with
yeah.
Spreadsheets? Oh yeah. Okay. So back in the day, we had Power Editor, and we did our Facebook ads by like uploading
CSVs.
Excel CSV sheets.
Yeah.
I uploaded an empty one and I wiped out their entire profitable Facebook ad campaigns. All of them, zero, gone, everything. They were doing over $1 million a year, and I deleted everything. First, I was sick to my stomach. Then I freaked out because called my lawyers and like, am I going to prison? And then I called them and I said, here's what happened. Here's what I'm doing to fix it. And I rewrote every campaign, every ad. They didn't fire me. They stayed for years. Like it was just, accountability goes a really long way. And again, it's so rare that your clients will just like, it's just so rare, which is crazy because that's the secret.
And by the way, the reverse happens, right? If you fulfill a client properly and you knock it out of the park, the level of confidence you have for the next round of sales is just enormous. You're like, oh yeah, I believe in what I sell. right? I feel like I can stand on this rock solid foundation, and you have the same effect mentally. And you usually crush sales until something goes wrong in fulfillment, and you cycle back mentally. It's a thing that you have to pay attention to. Okay.
Awesome.
Great round of questions here. So let's see, 12:37. We can take a couple of more questions here. Shibin Mohammed. Hey, Shibin. Let me go ahead and unmute you here. I've got a big truck out here picking up trash. And hello. Hey, Shibin. What's your question?
Hello. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your question?
Yeah. I'm new into the business. I'm from India, and like I'm planning on to start on with roofing niche. Like I would like to know who is the biggest, like from whom can I study the who has crushed on this niche. I hope you understand my accent.
Yeah. So what industry did you say? What niche?
Roofing.
Roofing. Okay. You have to do your own research of figuring out which market you're going after and which player is worth following. There's plenty of coaches and experts there in the roofing space. Matter of fact, look up a conference called Roofing Con. I think it's like a pretty big one. You can look at the speakers and find some good people to follow there, I would say. Okay. Let's go with Joseph Brown. Hey, Joseph, how's it going? Let me just unmute you there. Perfect. Awesome. There you are, Joseph.
Hi, Paulson and Adam
Yes.
and everyone. Yeah, I just want to say thanks for the training. I'm new to Go High Level. When I say new, I mean, a few months. And my niche is the restaurant niche. My question tonight pertains to the services that Adam mentioned. And my concern is, how do I package out those services? I'm actually thinking of a 3-tier type of package where you've got starter, growth, and perhaps established. But I'm not quite sure how I would package out those services in relation to those 3 packages. So any ideas or any tips on how I could go about deciding what services would go?
Yes. The 5-day challenge course that we have is specifically designed to help you package up and go to the market and get you your first paying customer. So I would start there, and it's only an hour-long course. It's like a huge fast track course. So I would say consider taking that. But the other thing is, there's no right answer or wrong answer. You need to talk to the customers that you're serving and figure out what offers would they like. So in the beginning, you want to let them know, I'm starting out a company. What do you think? What do you feel like is useful when it comes to marketing and automations? That's probably the first step for someone brand new. Adam, your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, really, we've got to figure out, at least you've got the niche figured out, but we probably need a sub niche within restaurants anyway. So what kind of restaurants? Because then that will dictate.
Fine dining restaurants.
Yeah. But even then, Italian fine dining, Michelin star fine dining.
Well, at the moment, it's kind of left open at that point. I just noticed dining. I'm not really focused.
So for me, I used to have a couple of restaurant clients, but it's been so long. So, what I would tell you wouldn't be relevant. So I'd be like, here's what I did. Here's it. Like what you've got to do is you've got to figure out, where are your clientele coming from? How are they finding out about your business? What are avenues you've tried in the past that have been successful? What have you tried that hasn't worked? Are you open to doing this or this or this? Do we have seasonal things? Because fine dining isn't going to necessarily want to do discounts and this and that, but they could offer bonuses, upsells, desserts, appetizers, drinks, etc. So each restaurant's going to be a little different. So it's not my favorite niche because the ticket price is a bit lower, but if you can go after high enough value ones, maybe, but tough.
Yeah. You want to avoid some industries that have too much low ticket, and restaurants is one of those unsafe areas, because you got to generate massive volume of results for them to move the needle up just a little bit on revenue. So go with businesses. If you're going to do restaurants, I would much rather have you focus on something like catering, because each ticket for catering is like $2,000, right?
Yeah.
So like that might be worth your time. But it
Mm.
just there's something wrong with every industry, right?
Yeah.
Restaurant pricing is one of their weaknesses, but there's hundreds of restaurants in a block, right? So you have plenty to choose from. There's there's pros and cons on every restaurant, but that's probably what I would say here.
I first started, fun note, when I first started my agency, I did marketing for a local Indian restaurant in town, and I did it for free food. And we ate like kings for like months. It was amazing. Yeah. We had, oh man,
order
we had
services.
literally, every night.
Oh man. Okay, let's go with one more
thanks,
question. Yeah, for sure. Let's go with one more question here. Jessica, let me see. Jessica, are you there? If you can unmute. There you are. Awesome.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. So I just have a question about pricing. I know with the challenge, the 5-day challenge, you had mentioned about keeping like consulting services separate from software services, because now we have like two completely different businesses. But then here we're talking about, like Adam was talking about, adding on services like lead generation and setting. And those are things that I can offer to my community. And I haven't promoted my SaaS yet to the public. I'm going to be doing that next week for like Black Friday and stuff, and running an ad. But right now I have 7, and they're just been by referrals. So I've been like contemplating pricing in the tiers. So do you recommend like, I guess I'm trying to add value to the price. And so you said like $297 should be like our gateway offer. But then adding on to that, do you recommend adding in like these types of consulting services to increase those prices, or would you still recommend keeping them totally separate? How would you recommend doing that?
So based on things that we taught in 5-day challenge, the 5-day challenge is a true SaaS model, right? But there's another model where people create hybrid services within what we call SaaS, which is software with a service, right? So like someone like Mike Cooch, Rob Bailey, Josh Nelson, those guys teach a lot about those types of strategies. I personally, I'm not a fan of selling consulting services because I'm selling my hours and time. I rather sell lead generation more than consulting. Even if you paid me $100,000 a month, it's probably not worth my time, because I can rather fulfill 15 to 20 customers with somebody else's time, right? And make 100 grand without me having to spend any time. So you have to decide on the model that you want to design for yourself as a person, but I'm not a big fan of selling hours. And in order to add value to your offer, first of all, who said you need to add value to the offer? Maybe sell more of the same services to make more money instead of trying to expand the same client. So a couple of things to think about. Adam, you want to add to that?
Yeah. Many thoughts. I think the first thing is there's almost like this path that you can take, sort of like an evolution, we could call it, of, again, fastest path to cash versus long-term sustainability and all of the steps in between. So for example, when I first started, it was like all agency services. Then I realized very quickly that I could make a lot of money consulting. And then I raised my prices until it no longer made sense, because at around like $5,000 an hour, I stopped. It didn't make sense for someone to pay me, and then my time was worth more elsewhere. So it was like, I hit the ceiling anyway, where I was like, all right, this doesn't make sense. So then we started moving into other services. So it's like, I don't mind doing anything depending on where it fits. And if it's helping move you closer to your goal, they're just different ways to do it. So it's like, let's use $300 as a SaaS offer. So it's like we sell 10 of those for $3,000, or we sell one agency package at $3,000, or we sell one consulting package at $3,000, which includes 4 calls and email access or whatever it is. So there's all these different ways of combining it. But exactly what Paulson said is like, well, who says we need to offer more value? It depends a lot on how differentiated you are in the market. Like if you're offering something truly unique to a very specific kind of person, that could be it. I've got a number of friends. I know, Paulson, we know these people where they'll have like a front end offer and they'll have a back end offer, and you'll hear about the back end offer being like $100,000, $200,000, $500,000, and they'll shut it down because it doesn't make any sense, because they can just literally put more people in their front end and get them sticking around like that. So that's why there is no one size fits all. It just really depends on what you want to do. But I think as much as there's not a one size fits all, there's also a one size, like you can do anything you want and no one can tell you it's like, this is better than that, because we've got examples of people doing millions with SaaS and millions with agencies and millions with SWAS and millions with everything else. So it's up to you.
Yeah. And think of the fulfillment, right? Like it's better to build McDonald's style assembly line that you have a mental like it's a hard fight because you're like it's not qualitative and it's kind of rinky dink and it's like cookie cutter fulfillment that I'm providing, but for the health of the business that's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Versus you selling all your hours for this high quality service that is going to churn out.
Yeah. Not to mention they may not care about that. It's like, again, if we think about the results that they're getting, that's what they care about. So it's like, there's certain things that we do sometimes that just make our lives unnecessarily complicated, which don't actually lead to the bottom line. And like, how much of those do we do? Well,
a lot,
80%, like most things we don't need to do. Yeah. And again, like, I think what happens is as your business grows is you 80-20 things at first, and then you 80-20 the 80-20, and then you do that again. And sooner than later, like you reach a point where it makes, like personally, it makes sense for me to do very little in my business other than have these conversations, interact with people. Like other than that, I should basically do nothing, because like I can find people that can do it and it doesn't really make sense. I'll still do it because I forget and I get sidetracked, but
yeah. I mean, like I tease Sean all the time. At this point, Sean's like CEO job is to make loan videos all day long.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like at this point, that's what we have to have him do, because there's 850 team members now that handle the original responsibilities that he once had. Right. So the scaling doesn't necessarily come from you putting in more hours. It's you putting the right people in the right seats in the school bus. And then eventually those people will help you find the direction of the business. Once you get to 10, 15 customers and let's say 2 team members, then those 2 team members will tell you how to build your business. They have better temperature on the clients. They have better temperature on the market. They know how clients feel about your offers. So then all of a sudden you start building with your team members, and then you want to have better quality team members. And that's your focus more than even products and services, because if you put in the right people there, they will help you build the business. But anyways, great round of question there, Jessica. Adam, before we forget, tomorrow is day 3. Believe it or not, tomorrow's the last day already, man. That's crazy. Like,
how did that happen? How did that happen?
Can we go over real quick what you're going to cover? And while you're doing that, I'll go ahead and show my slide for the workshop offer in case if
right on
questions.
Yeah. So tomorrow we have essentially scaling with SOPs, and I'm really looking forward to the questions around that line, because I think hopefully, and that's the beauty of doing a Q&A like this, is that we get to clear up a lot of the confusion around some things that sound really good when you just say them, but when you start thinking about how is this going to apply to me and my business, also, it sort of comes down to solving problems that we have now while also looking at the problem that's going to appear next. So we're going to kind of be thinking a few moves ahead. So we'll talk about theory of constraints. These are the things that are stopping you from where you're at. So if you're stuck right now, you don't know how to get through to the next level, we're going to identify and remove those. We'll talk about different growth strategies of how to actually grow an agency. And then we'll talk about probably one of the big ones, whereas like day 1, we talked about client acquisition. And now day 3, we're going to talk about client retention and referrals. So there's a good way to make your clients stick around longer. There's an easy way to get them to help refer, increase word of mouth, which is something I still kind of call hope marketing. Like you're going to hope they're going to do it, but we can actually encourage them to do it more so. And those are almost always the best clients.
Okay, awesome. And if anybody want to take advantage of this offer that's only live during this workshop to sign up for a new 30-day trial, feel free to do that at gohighlevel.com/Adam workshop offer. And if you upgrade to the next tier plan, you also get all the collaterals and snapshots and courses that we talked about as well. But if you don't want to do any of that, no problem. I don't like to be salesy at all when it comes to these things. We're going to provide free education anyway. It just takes a little bit of time to roll all these out. But anyways, I'll see you all tomorrow, 12 p.m. EST, Eastern Standard Time. That's New York time. And we'll be in touch. Bye, everybody.